Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Okay, this is going to be the story of the Rough Ryder 2442 Tortoiseshell Bow Trapper. And, well, it's kind of a long, twisting story. And I gotta tell you, this story takes a few twists and turns. First off, when I first saw this knife on the Smoky Mountain Knife Works website, the picture showed the knife looking like so. A nice single-bladed bow trapper, but the description said that it was the two-bladed knife with a clip blade and a spay blade. And so I went on the SMKW Army site, SMKW Army site on Facebook, and said that bow trapper looks really great, especially if it is actually a single blade knife. But the description says that it's a two-bladed knife, so I don't know if I want to get it. And a lot of other people agreed, yeah, if it was a single blade, that'd be great. Somebody replied, yes, it is a single blade knife. And then a person who represents SMKW came online and said, yeah, we'll fix that description right away. And the knife was indeed a single blade bow trapper. Now, if you saw my thing on the Stonework series, I mentioned that the biggest problem with the bow trapper in the Stonework series was that it had two blades. And I had pointed that out before when I got the classic carbon series bow trapper, one of the only other bow trapper I ever got. I mentioned at that time the knife looks great, but the second blade just screws up with the handle whenever you're holding it, so they really needed to make a single blade bow trapper. And well, they did. They finally did. They really, really did. And it's not the upswept bow trapper, which has the skinnier handle. And I got to tell you, I really do like the way this handle feels. So that was the first twist and turn. Now, if you notice, this knife has pretty decent action now. You know, with the half stop. Kind of pops there, drops pretty good. Kind of snaps into there, or drops down there. The action is pretty smooth. But once again, when this knife showed up, similar to what happened with my other tortoiseshell knives, the black goop that they put underneath these the handles had gotten on the acrylic, and it actually, in this case, it was thin lines of it going across it, just cutting across. I can't remember if it was in the front or back. I was actually did a video on it, and I was looking at it. It's like, can you believe this? Look at how scratched up this is and everything else. And I was disgusted, didn't put up the video and everything. And then I thought, you know what? I wonder if those scratches would polish out. And so it's like, okay, well, let's go and see if they'll polish out. Well, not only did they polish out, all I had to do was take a rag and wipe it off. I was trying to scratch it, but it wouldn't really scratch. But I got on it with a rag with a little case paste, and I wiped back and forth a bit, and the stuff came right off. And it's like, oh, man, are you telling me once again it was that black goop? And that's really what it is. So if you're getting any of these tortoiseshell knives and you're noticing any kind of flaw or anything in like the bolster or even the blade or on the acrylic covers and everything, chances are what it is the black goop that they're using for the imitation shell with black liners. Is the black liners. It's just getting all over the place on these knives. And all you have to do is wipe it off. You might need some hot soapy water. You might need some case paste. Wipe it off, polish it up, and then decide if the knife has an issue or not. So far, this is the second one I've had that had issues because of all that snot that they're putting in there as black liners. I I wish they would just get rid of the liners. It's not doing any good for them as far as I'm concerned. And it is one of the complaints that a lot of people have about underneath the handle, because you can see the black liner underneath, through the amber portion of the handle, you can see the black liner as well as the brass liner or brass spacer behind there. And it does kind of distract a little bit. Is it awful? I don't think so. It's just a new thing to get used to, I guess. It's a new form of tortoiseshell in the collection, and it does bring a little bit of variety into it. Is it my favorite looking tortoiseshell? Not by any stretch, but it's not god awful or anything like that. It still looks pretty good to me. This side especially looks pretty good to me. Even with the, you can see how the black liner stuff under there has kind of spider webbed all over the place, and it kind of adds an interesting touch to it. You do have the pinched bolsters and the lined and pinched top bolster there. I wish the lines here, the threading or the what else? What did they used to call it? The ring, the threading or the ring. I wish it was thinner. It's not bad, but I wish it was thinner. You have the match strike pull, and you do have the swedge. I wish this had the long match strike pull instead of the one that is shaped, with the moon kind of shape going on. That's typical everywhere. At least the in this case, the swedge is not interfering with the nail nick, so that's good. And you saw here the action is not bad. I think the pull on this is probably right there in the middle. Probably closer to a 6, going both ways. And as Williams Knife Life will often mention, it is harder here once you get it up there. It's right around there. It starts popping to it. And it's not as hard pulling it all the way open from the half stop. The hardest pull is right at the very beginning there. But you can get a good purchase on it. You don't really need to use the nail nick either. You can see there. And it does open, and it does feel good in the hand. So that's really good. You can actually get down and cut. You've got the bend in the handle, which feels good. The blade on this one is nice and tight. There's absolutely no wobble in it. You got the nice wide belly. That's the good part about the curve in the handle. It allows you to get more of a wide belly going on with there. So all in all, I'm pretty impressed with the knife. If I would have been doing this video 4 weeks ago when I first got the knife, I would not have been nearly as impressed with it because I was really thinking I was going to have to send it back. There was absolutely no snap in the blade. I would pull it all the way. I'd have to pull it all the way, and I'd have to pull it all the way down. And it's because the black goop even got into the pivot, so I had to clean all that out and everything else. And that's one of those things, like, should you have to do that with the knife? I get it. They say back for, built by hand, back for life, so on and so forth. But what they end up doing is they'll send you another knife. They usually do not ask for the one back that was all cruddy. In the case of this knife, the only thing that was wrong with it was dirty. So if you're going to send out a dirty knife and then a person says the knife doesn't function right, and you end up sending them another one, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, you're wasting money. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, selling a dirty knife that doesn't function right is a quality control issue. The knife should be functional when it arrives. And I get it. We're not paying a lot of money for this knife or anything like that. And I know higher price knives are also, they're dirty. And sometimes you just need to flush out the pivot. But more and more, that is the biggest problem I'm having with Rough Rider knives now is they're just so gunked up that they're not opening and closing the way they should. But once you get it cleaned up, it's working great. But is that really should that be a selling point? Oh, it's a great knife. Once you clean it up, it'll be great. You'll be able to open and close it real easy and blah, blah, blah. A person wants to be able, if I'm giving this knife to somebody, say I'm giving this knife to someone for a birthday present. I buy another tortoiseshell bow trapper. I'm going to give it to someone for a birthday present. Or a Christmas present or something. It's in the plastic box, it's got the sleeve on it, and all I do is wrap it up and give it to the person. The person, don't know anything about Rough Ryders. They're new to the brand. They get the knife, they get it, and it's like, and they look at it and go, oh man, it's got all this crud on it, and it's like, what kind of Christmas present did I just give somebody? And is that the way you want your brand to be represented by somebody who is new to the brand? Because that's the other thing. I mean, there are numerous knife channels out here right now that are promoting Rough Rider knives. And if we're promoting Rough Rider knives and people are going and purchasing Rough Rider knives, our reputation is at hand too. So even if ours is good and it came good, but somebody else's is going to be dirty and nasty and not function properly, what does that say to our reputation? So that's why, here I am bashing Rough Rider. I still think these are the best knives you're going to find in this price point and everything. But for the new person just purchasing a knife, if it comes dirty, if it looks like it's been used already, if it's got crud on it and everything else, they're not going to want to pick up another Rough Rider. So consider that the folks at SMKW, the folks at Rough Rider, make sure somebody in that factory is really doing some good quality control, making sure that the knives are clean, making sure that none of the smuts is all over the place, and making sure that, the knife does this. I don't know, maybe you're spot checking the knives as you're going along right now. I'm assuming you do, but you might need to spot check more than 1 in 100 or more than 10, 1 out of 10 or whatever you're doing. You might want to double that up, and you might start holding people accountable for why are you sending us dirty knives, because this knife is really good now. 4 weeks ago, it was not really good. And the only difference was I had to clean it up. Yeah. Anyway, stick around, folks. Like I said, it's a really good knife. It's a really cool pattern. I'm really happy that they are putting out the bow trapper with your basic clip blade on here. I think it's a terrific knife. I'd also love to see this with like a spear blade or a drop point. That would be kind of interesting to see too. They've already done the upswept version. That one's a little skinnier. I like this one. It's a little more beefy in the hand. It feels a little bit better. All in all, really just a terrific knife. They call it a bow trapper. I'll probably just call it what it is. It's a saddle horn or a curved jack. Yeah. No pattern is truly new. These have been around for a while too. I realized when I went to take the photos of this knife that there are a few features that I forgot to mention because I was too busy complaining about the knife showing up dirty. One of the cool things here is the kind of the hidden lanyard post here. So if you want to attach a lanyard to this, you can. You would pass it through there and wrap it around the lanyard. I believe you might be able to snap a hook onto there too. So that's pretty cool. You don't see a lanyard hole, but there is a post there. So that is really a nice feature for those folks who really like a lanyard. Again, the shield is really beautiful on this. This is what sets it apart from so many other tortoiseshell knives that you'll find in the collection. This one, I would say, the blade alignment isn't perfect. You can see it right there. It definitely favors the show side, but it is in no way rubbing or anything. So, and like I've mentioned many a times, the blade alignment on traditional knives does not freak me out at all. I know it is a big deal for other people. For me, it's not that big of a deal as long as it's not rubbing, and there is definitely no rubbing going on here. I did mention that the blade locks up really nice. It's a really good fit there. Smooth transition here too. You do see the bump there, but your hand just slides right over it. Same with the transitions from bolster into the acrylic handle. It is nice and smooth. Pins, I can kind of feel the pins, but it's nothing dramatic or anything. So again, the fit and finish of the knife is really good now that it's been cleaned up. You can see what looks like a gap there, and I can actually feel it on my finger. But it is, it's not that bad of a gap or anything like that. And that happens with traditional knives. My problem with gaps is when it's between the brass liner and the covers. Now there might have been a gap there, but it has been taken care of by the black liner. So that's what the purpose of the black liner is there for, to hide any gap between the brass liner and the acrylic handle, and it does that quite nicely. So is it cheating? Maybe, but at the same time it does make for a nice looking fit. So all in all, I am really impressed with the way the knife looks. Now that it's cleaned, I'm really impressed with the action on it. It is a 440B blade steel, so that is also a nice touch. They have up from a 440B or from a 440A to a 440B. For those who are not familiar, a 440B is similar to like an OS 8. It's the American version of an OS 8. OS 8 is a little bit different. I got a couple different things going on in there. Might have a little more vanadium or something like that, or the chromium content might be a little bit different, something like that. But it is a very similar steel. Still a fingerprint magnet. However, it is a satin finish, so it's not nearly as much of a fingerprint magnet as the usual mirror polish on a Rough Rider knife. So all in all, once I got it cleaned up, this knife is just really terrific. And the fit and finish is not bad at all. And things like that, the little lanyard post is a really nice touch. So they do have that on the bow trapper, the two-bladed bow trapper. I'm glad to see it move over into the single-bladed version with the clip. And like I said, I really do like the way this knife looks, and I also like the way it feels when you got it in your hand. So nice practical knife, and really a beauty. Now we can let's do it this way. Now we can go to the slideshow. let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.